the team fight style that we were known for at the time.
I would love if they masked their draft in some way or some form to look like they were going for the Vikings and have a surprise pick on that fifth. That would be the utmost high-level type of heroes that I would love to see. Now let's go ahead and start the draft.
For me, a question that I have is, will ETC be banned, or are we going to see a very early pick? Because on this map, you oftentimes don't really play around the mosh pit necessarily, but you focus a little bit on stage dive, or at least you can. ETC is currently oftentimes used as a counterplay to the Haka to an extent, so I would say that both of them make an appearance here. Fnatic banning out Abathur, first of all. It's a ban that they have been prioritizing a lot. Also, Liquid has shown great Abathur play on Cursed Hollow, so that makes sense. And with Liquid now heading into the Haka, I would expect an ETC pick on the side of Fnatic again.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue now with Fnatic is, what do you ban out? If you go for the Dahaka global ban, suddenly you leave ETC up and available, which means they get the engage they want. So Team Liquid elects to go ahead and just ban out the Genji themselves and say, you know what, we'll take the other two heroes that are usually pretty strong in this battleground.
Now, one of the playstyles that we see with ETC quite a bit is that ETC starts to be played oftentimes. You have two options. You can either play him as the main tank and complement him with the second, but we have even seen him played as a counterpart on the off lane to the Haka, for example. You can head into stage dive, and ETC can actually win a solo lane against the Haka if the Haka makes a few mistakes. But even if ETC doesn't win the lane, he doesn't outright lose it. So you always have tools available, and you can also slow the Haka down when he tries to go from the top into a 4-man at the bot lane. So after level 10, you can either try and delay him, or you simply, if you pick stage dive, can simply mirror his movement. So once he moves down, you stage dive to the bot lane, and all of a sudden you have a tool in your hands which offers even more utility, arguably, than the Haka, but can counteract him to a big part. And that's why that first pick, as I said before, doesn't shock me in the slightest. We have the second tank also coming in, which in this case is Arthas.
Well, I mean, for those at home that do want to play ETC into Dahaka, do realize that you're 1 through 6, you're going to be just kind of holding on to the lane. At 7, when you get that Echo Pedal, it's typically when you're able actually to clear out the lanes just as well as Dahaka, and you can start to actually force those fights. Power slide in near the minion waves, get some damage procs on the minions, but also be in a spot where you can auto-attack the Dahaka.
Yeah, but Phase Melt in particular is a great tool that you have against Dahaka, just pushing him out whenever he goes for the wave play here. And also, of course, when you see him trying to burrow to the lane, you can drop that as well.
Sure.
But overall, Fnatic with that ETC already acknowledging that immediately. And this is one of the cool things about ETC and why he's so incredibly powerful right now. You not only have a potential main tank, but you can also set him at the side lane, so it makes him very flexible.
Ooh.
And this is another special. This is something that we see a lot since the last patch. I've seen this in so many scrims, and I'm absolutely loving it. Tyrande is definitely back. We see now, of course, first of all, them, Liquid, trying to stack up stuns again. But the cool thing about Tyrande, and I'm not sure if we're going to see it in this game, but it's definitely going to pop up throughout the weekend, Owl build. The stack talent...
Really? Owl build?
Oh, yes. The Owl talent on level 1, where you get the extra damage on your stacks, and then on 13 with a cooldown reduction now, you can all of a sudden start spamming that thing like crazy. I've seen Tyrande plays where she had 90 or more stacks and was just chunking away. And if you are having big team fights and you position yourself outside the fight a little bit, an Owl can easily hit 2-3 heroes, which more or less means an insta reset on the cooldown, and you just keep firing away. The damage output that, depending on the game, of course, on the flow of the game, if there's a lot of team fighting, the damage output that Tyrande can achieve towards the late game is pretty crazy. So overall, a hero that is not like the perfect pick in every situation, but that we are going to see a little bit more. So that talent change that we saw coming in the patch is definitely bringing her back in a much favorable position.
I'm gonna write that one down and try it out as soon as I get home. All right, so over to Fnatic. They ban out the Grey main, and Team Liquid is seeming to be on a theme here. They're gonna go ahead and ban out Medivh once again, not allowing for Schwimpy to have it. And that's one of those battlegrounds that Medivh, again, is very strong just because of his vision that he grants you. When you're able to keep an eye on those bosses and make sure your opponents are on a different side of the map, it opens up the battleground so much for you to make aggressive shot calling plays, which favors Fnatic.
Also, when we're talking about the setup right now, I also want to highlight something else that Tyrande brings to the table because of what Fnatic has picked so far. We have ETC and Arthas on their side. So with the Celestial Attunement on the side of Tyrande, you can really already counteract that a little bit, even outside of your main support. So that's definitely something that plays into the cards of Team Liquid as well. for that Tyrande pick. First of all, you have a good roaming squad with Muradin and Tyrande that can really jump from lane to lane trying to get a kill. Then you have, towards the later stages, good interrupts against triple channels. You have at the same time damage output that Tyrande can get with her level 13. And you also have a level 4 talent that gives you a lot of utility against what Fnatic is running here.
Over on Fnatic's side, they're just playing their standard meta so far. The Vala and Rhaegar pick up once again here, just to see that Vala come on. This is where we might see that Hungering Arrow build, just because of the boss control that we mentioned in the first series of the game. And then Rhaegar, of course, to help out with the double tank. If you ever have a double tank setup, Rhaegar can just be a great go-to. Even if he is going to be the higher meta pick in a lot of situations, just always remember, double tank, Rhaegar's great because of the ability for his chain healing to pop between multiple members.
And Rhaegar and Vala, if Vala goes for any kind of arrow build, can easily do both alone.
Yeah.
No problem whatsoever. With Lightning Shield and Vala's Monster Hunter on level 1, it's absolutely fantastic. Of course, there's still the hybrid build to consider, where you still go into Hot Pursuit on level 1, but spec into your arrow on 4 and 7. Repeating arrow on 7, of course. But on this map, with 2 bosses being available, you get a lot of value out of Monster Hunter. Next to Battlefield of Eternity, this is probably the most popular map for a full arrow build.
And last point before we stop talking about Rhaegar here, you need cleanse against the comp that Team Liquid has shown their first 3 here, and Rhaegar has that cleanse available. Yeah. So great pickup here for Fnatic. Ariel and Lenara for the 4th and 5th pickup for Team Liquid, so running double support, kind of, if you consider Tyrande as a support.
Yeah.
And have Lenara be that battery.
I like it. It's a good setup. They have a lot of tools available to them. Celestial Tumen, as we said before, you have stuns available. There's a lot of burst potential on their side, thanks to Tyrande's trait and of course also the stun setup that they have. So the setup that they're running here is actually pretty good. They need to be a little bit careful if ETC really decides to go into stage dive, which at this point I am just simply going to assume, because I expect him to be facing the Haka, so I think he's going to try and mirror the global. So if he jumps into the backline and starts to pressure Tyrande, Oriel and Lunara, that can become a little bit rough, so Team Liquid has to play around this. But overall, looking at that draft and comparing it to what happened on the last map, I like this already a lot more than what we've seen on Tomb of Spider Queen.
All right, so 5th pickup coming in here for Fnatic. Maybe expecting a little bit more damage from them. There it is. It's going to be the Li Ming for Fnatic. We haven't seen Shrimpy on Li Ming in a while.
It's going to be a treat. Shrimpy, Li Ming, there's so many good Li Ming players, not only in Europe, but also in Asia. It's just awesome to watch them. So I'm definitely hyped for this one. This should be a pretty good game. A lot of interrupts on both sides, good team fight potential, of course, once again, for both teams in this case, actually. And Fnatic also with the potential reset value that Li Ming can offer.
So if you're looking at the drafts here, Caldor, who walks away with the win?
I actually think that at this point it's pretty even. You can see what both of the teams are trying to do. This is going to come down to execution for sure. When you looked at the draft on Tomb of the Spider Queen, I think there was a clear favorite who would take it for the reasons and the points that we made earlier. But in this series, you have a much more balanced draft where both of the teams can really walk away with that victory depending on if they get their execution through. Team Liquid is looking for isolation kills, they're looking for stun combos, and then you get a kill in there, so that can definitely work for them. Probably going to see a roaming squad in the early game, or at least that's one approach of that they could go for, whereas Fnatic has a pretty decent team fighting as well. ETC probably going to try and stand at the off lane, mirror at Soak, so this is going to be an execution matter. And I think Team Liquid needs to make sure that they're also using Tyrande to spot the two bosses, because Fnatic, there's a good chance that Fnatic with Rhaegar, with a split on Rhaegar and Vala, is going to try and sneak one in. Yeah,
for me, I look at Team Liquid and I think I'm a little bit on board with them, because I think Lunara here has enough protection to be very effective. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. It's going to be Cursed Hollow here. We have Team Liquid down 0-1 to Fnatic. Can they tie it up? We'll find out.
Game on as we jump onto Cursed Hollow with Splendor, this time on Oriel. We see Hazops for Team Liquid on Lunara. Blumby up at that front with the Dwarf playing Muradin. Darkmork for the second stun with Tyrande herself, and Nurok is going to be that side laner. He's going to play Dehaka in this game.
On the right side in the red, Quatnix on Vala, Wubby on Arthas, Breeze playing ETC, Smexy on Rhaegar, and Shwimpy with the Li Ming.
So, as mentioned already earlier, we are expecting currently an Owl build out of Tyrande, which means that you are mainly focusing on Owl talents on level 1 and level 13. 13 being the cooldown reduction, and the Ranger talent on level 1 helping you out with a repeatable quest. So every single time that you hit an enemy hero, you increase the max damage by 3%. And as I stated before, I've seen up to 90 stacks easily towards the late game. Of course, it depends always a little bit on the type of style that is being played, but with a lot of team fights, you get a lot of stacks together here, and then Tyrande really starts to hurt. And thanks to the cooldown reduction, can, with good hits and good aim on the skill shots, spam those out quite heavily.
Now, if you're wanting to run this build, try and make sure that you have a teammate set up for you that can help you grab those pickups, those stacks early here. And Murden is that exact choice here for Team Liquid. She'd be able to move into a fight, drop down those storm bolts, get him stunned for a second there, and he follows up with that out. Works on those early percentages coming in and online as quickly as possible. On the other side, Fnatic once again with that prog rock on ETC.
Yeah, prog rock taken once again. Definitely one of the, I want to call it more affordable level 1 talents with only 20 regeneration globes that you need. It's easier to stack it. And that is definitely one of the things that we have to watch out for as well, since the value, once that the talent is completed, it's pretty strong. We expected the arrow build, by the way, on Vala, and this is exactly what we are currently seeing from Quadnix. So there is a lot of pressure, especially with Lightning Bond, also claimed by Smexy, that at some point Fnatic is going to try and sneak in towards the boss and try to burst it down. That's actually something that Liquid has to be really careful about.
Incredible game sense there by Wubby. Comes down on the bottom side, trying to find out where that Murden and Tyrande is. It drops down a Howling Blast into the bush and will reveal them. It's all about keeping tabs on those two. Make sure to yell it to your team where they're at, where they're rotating in. Breeze playing safe in the middle lane. Gonna have to be a bit careful though. If he can dodge the Storm Bolt, he might be okay. He misses out though. Lunar Flare comes in. Breeze, with the help of his teammates, though, will be able to turn around this fight as Darkmok is suddenly low on health.
What a collapse here. Fantastic by Fnatic. They are engaged upon and then they turn it around, but simply approaching from all angles here. The fight not over just yet, but Wubby gets out. And this is a 1-4-0 trade in favor of Fnatic. Well played by them. But you could already tell what the game plan for Team Liquid is here. They're really trying to get these rotations going and then get a quick kill in. In this case, they were still missing out on some of the damage, which was a bit of a problem.
Incredible collapse by both teams, though. All 5 members were in the lane at that point as they knew that was coming in.
Yeah.
Fnatic just finds the advantage in it, and they'll turn around and grab Giants, and it's lucking out for them here as the tribute spawns to the very far north, which means those Giants should get some value.
Also, we have on level 4, as predicted, Celestial Attunement now taken, so you have your mini cleanse there. And that's going to help a lot. But especially Fnatic needs to be very careful about these cleanses. And in this case, sorry, not cleanses, the stuns here. They are actually letting the first one slide. They still have the pressure play at the bot lane. The tribute position favored them since they already took the Siege Giants at the bot lane. So that meant that pushing through the bot lane really helps them. But they still didn't really want to fight for the top in this case. They don't have a global yet. They need to wait for ETC to hit his level 10. And against the stun combos, without having cleanse available, they were just not confident enough.
Here comes the Ronda stun, though, as we have Murden moving forward. Darkmok will be the one to look at. Wubby turns around, and he at least gets turret damage as he wants to get experience for his team, and he's able to get a turret.
That was incredibly smart by Wubby. That was the best thing that he could have done. Once that we saw Muradin and also Tyrande appear, he immediately knew he was dead. He knew that there is no way that he gets out of there without getting hit by any of the 3 stuns available. So he simply accepted his fate, and instead of walking back into the stun, he started to push forward, put the extra damage onto the towers and said, guys, first of all, I'm going to delay it a little bit. Second of all, I'm going to trade. And in the meantime, since there are 3 heroes bot lane, you have all the time in the world to go top and get counter value at the top lane.
Squeezing that orange as hard as he can there, gets the experience, and they look at the result actually. A small amount of experience, he gets a 7.
A little bit of OJ in the morning.
A little bit of OJ, man, keeping it up there as Breeze needs to find some way to delay this, but with great positioning by both Splendor and Blumby. They stop the tribute from being grabbed. Fnatic instead looks for a fight. Wubby lands a Howling Blast, and they turn around and burst a Murden.
Really well done. Oh, Norok, that's a bad spot to all of a sudden come out of a brush. Yeah, there's a nice dodge, but it might not be enough. Norok on the way back, and that is the second kill for Fnatic. Also keep in mind that what we actually just saw is Arthas waiting with a Howling Blast until Muradin jumped out. If he doesn't do that, Muradin gets away in this situation. But the moment that Blumby starts jumping, Arthas already knows where he would land, so he immediately homes in with the Howling Blast and locks him down. That's what made that kill possible. So if you're a tank player and you are going up against an opponent that has escapes, oftentimes it's very beneficial if you wait for that escape to be used before you go for that range lockdown.
The benefits of having two tanks, you have one go for the engage, which ETC did there with that power slide, and the other one can hold on to for that big power moment for them to turn around and play. And Fnatic grabs a boss because of it. They get a nice experience lead, 8.5, moving towards level 9. They already are pushing in the top lane as well. Now, there is still a positive here for Team Liquid. They have 2 out of the 3 tributes so far, which means if they're able to grab the next tribute, they get a curse and open up the map.
Yeah, so they could definitely do that. The problem is that we are seeing Fnatic already moving towards level 10, so the longer this fight down there lasts, the easier it is for Fnatic to control it and maybe win another fight. And I actually think Team Liquid is most likely going to just sit tight and try and get some experience and an advantage through Lunara at the top, and that's exactly what we're seeing here.
Yep.
With them also going for the night camp now.
Should probably try to get a Wisp on top of that boss just to make sure. With Fnatic getting towards that 10, they may move into a spot where they can move in for the boss. Breeze is on the side trying to scare their opponent away, but Team Liquid not quite biting, realizing that Arthas is in the top lane, that they can grab the Mercs instead.
Look how bad the camp clear is for Team Liquid with this.
Yeah.
These 3 heroes are atrocious to get a camp together. And they lacked out on the AoE that Dehaka offers and also on the Lunara damage. So that was a really risky move once that ETC showed up, because that could have been a collapse by Fnatic. Didn't work out that way because Noble was close enough. Fnatic didn't know how much the camp would be done, and now they're up at the top going for the boss. But that was definitely a concern for Team Liquid, where they said, guys, no matter what, we just have to go through with it.
Yeah, that's the trade-off you get of the crazy kill potential of Muradin and Tyrande. Your wave clear and your mercenary camp clear is just horrible.
And
so
then,
you have to pick it up.
And then compare it to what we see for Fnatic. With the arrow build on Vala plus Rhaegar. That's exactly what we said earlier. Now there's another tribute, uncontested, it's going to be taken here. Keep in mind that by now we see Tyrande on 13 stacks on her level 1 talent, so that's already 39% extra damage on the Owl. But we have now for Breeze also stage dive, as predicted a bit earlier, so that he can mirror Dehaka's movements on the map and jump into these 5 versus 5 fights while still maintaining the soak. This is why we're seeing him currently at the bot lane playing against Dehaka.
Okay, so Starfall is actually the pickup for Tyrande on that level 10. So we're going to have to see how that's pulled off. Will they be able to get it on top of Arthas or even that Rhaegar?
Yeah. Starfall is in most of the games I've seen so far definitely the standard right now, and towards the late game, if Tyrande gets her stacks together, she oftentimes even surpasses the main DPS.
Does she get the 20 with the 100 mark?
I've seen like a couple of variations on the 20, but to be honest, most of the games have ended even earlier than that.
Okay.
So Tyrande can definitely have a massive, massive damage output later on. We already saw her with a long-range Owl chunk down targets pretty heavily, and once you get the stacks going, that's going to even increase. Normally, during the team fights, you can really pick those up. The level 13 talent, again, is crucial for the cooldown reduction. That's usually when you're trying to get as many stacks as possible.
All right, well, Team Liquid and Fnatic will fight over this 3rd tribute. Both of them will get Curse Point if they're able to grab it. ETC continues to push in the top side. With Fnatic being on the right, they have full control here. Their poke is outstanding for stopping that tribute channel, so they can get value out of ETC pushing the top lane, getting 13, even looking for damage on the fort, while Team Liquid has to make a decision soon.
Yeah, Team Liquid really needs to make a choice here, because so far they're just picking up some extra experience with Dehaka at the bot lane. Darkmoke, of course, can still benefit a little bit from the position since he's getting more stacks as we speak with every single Owl. So he picked up another 4 stacks just with the last 2 Owls that he fired. But of course, as you pointed out, the problem is that Breeze is still pushing the fort at the top lane, and that is an issue that eventually they have to deal with.
Poke continues back and forth. This goes on any longer. Team Liquid will have to force a fight into Fnatic as they get level 13. So Team Liquid, knowing this, they charge forward. They look at Wubby. Taming Strike comes out, but big stage drive lands on top of Hasuwas.
Yeah, and Lunara is dead. The ult of Oriel comes a little bit too late. That's the first kill. Immediately the jump on Blumby, but Wubby is ready again with a Howling Blast, always holding it back, waiting for Muradin to make his move before he locks him down. The 3rd kill confirmed against Oriel, and things are just spiraling out of control as Fnatic takes the curse against Team Liquid and starts moving down to the bottom of the map to push the keep.
And they can look for that keep too. Another 15 seconds before Oriel's back in the field. Lunara is here, but Lunara being in a spot where ETC can power slide in could be deadly for her. Wubby and crew already grouping up on the bottom side. They open up the gate and work on the turret. Now, will they make a play for the keep? With Oriel spawning in the next 4 seconds, decide to go ahead and pull away, and they can continue to open up the map with the fort in the middle and even look towards the keep wall.
Yeah, there's a lot of structure damage already coming in against Team Liquid. They lost the fort in the mid lane, they lost the one up at the top, and for now, Fnatic just moving back here. Replenishing mana in the first place, but leaving up a little bit on the pressure that they were just able to push out here. But the 13 talent alone is, of course, going to be a massive advantage for them in the next fight.
I wonder if they're going to turn around and grab the boss instead. Yeah. They decide to. They hop on the boss here. I mean, to bring it down.
It makes sense. First of all, you have the boss wave clear, and then second of all, you have still the curse going, so they can go for it. And here comes Tyrande on the other hand. Yeah, a little bit out. Boss already taken. Starfall is on the ground, but at the same time, the fight is continuing. Whoopi needs to be careful. There's no Ancestral just yet. Another 10 seconds until it's going to be up again. But Blumby goes down. And Breeze, with good zoning for his team, is making sure that everyone else is just pushed back. Liquid willing to risk that fight without the level 13 talent, but things are not looking good for them.
And Breeze dives on in, knocks back Splendor, and he'll be done. Nurok as well, getting body blocked by multiple members of Fnatic. The boss pushing in on the keep. Hasselhoff's low on health. That Strafe is popped by Quacknix. They turn around, and they're going to be looking for a core after this, possibly.
Yeah, oh, definitely. They're going to try and drop the core right here. They're already moving in. That boss is just hammering away, and with 2 heroes still dead, they can go for the third, and they do. Tyrande is down. No protection for her, and that is Fnatic aiming for win number 2 in this best of 5 series. The boss moving in with them, and they are going ham on Lunara, locking her into place, and Hazorbs is going to die any second, but the core is faster. This is the 2-0 as Fnatic takes the game.
Fnatic with just great macro and control over the field, keeping an eye on their opponents and making sure not to fall to the Muradin, and Tyrande are able to gain the victory with a straight 2-0. And we got to call out Smexy there on that bottom boss in that bottom left corner, man. He was locked in there by a Muradin, but with some sick jukes there, able to miss out on that second Stormbolt, able to walk away, keep his team alive, and they were able to move forward because of it.
And one of the main things to consider here is that one of the reasons why Team Liquid did not win the game and never really got that lead that they were hoping for is because Fnatic played really well around the strength of the draft. Yeah. So they looked at it and said, hey, Liquid wants to pick up these kills. But the only kill that they really got was the one against Arthur's with the 3-man gank. And Arthur's got a lot of value that he traded with an open space for the rest of the team up at the top lane because Fnatic realized immediately what was going on. Tyrande never got into that late game that she won, so we didn't really see her with that massive stack that you normally